If you didn't notice, your subway and bus fare has gone up, and your MTA bridge and tunnel, too. If you did notice, pick up the phone and tell us how you feel about it. The call starts now. Thanks for joining the call, the first interactive newscast. You tell us what's news. I'm John Schumo. Slowly rolling out another fare hike didn't make it any easier for some strap hangers this morning. Today was the first work day since the MTA's latest subway, bus, and toll increases went into effect. LIRR and Metro North riders had to dig a little deeper into their pockets Friday morning. New York One's Roger Clark spoke with some commuters on their way to work this morning. Here's his piece. If you have an opinion, get ready to share it.
A sign inside a subway station booth at the Atlantic Avenue Barclays stop shares the not-so-good news with commuters. Another MTA fare hike.
I don't know what we're going to do. It's terrible.
It's ridiculous. It's not fair.
The fare increase for subways, buses, the Staten Island Railway, and Access-a-Ride went into effect on Sunday. Let's review the numbers. The base fare for those services went up a quarter to $2.50. A $30 unlimited Metro card is up to $112 from $104. The 7-day up $1 to $30. The MTA is now also charging $1 for each new Metro card you buy, but you could avoid that by refilling your card. You won't be charged if you turn in an expired or damaged card. Now, commuters we spoke with said these fare hikes are getting, or actually are already, pretty annoying.
It's not a happy situation. They're raising the fares, but they're not improving anything. At least send a couple more buses on the route so we're not standing in the freezing for so long waiting for a bus or a train or something. You know, at least do something to help us out.
I think it's a robbery.
There were some commuters who were a little more understanding than others of the MTA's financial woes.
Well, listen, as long as the service works, we know that the MTA is broke, and it's probably not the fault of the drivers. It's not the fault of the workers who open and close the doors. It's part of the economy. What can you do?
But for the most part, riders were not so forgiving.
My salary is still the same for many years, and fares, everything is going up. So it's getting harder and harder to live in New York City.
But most said they don't really have another option to get where they have to go.
We don't have any choice. It's still better than driving to work.
Riders on the Long Island Railroad and Metro North saw their fares rise 8 to 9% on Friday. On Sunday, increased tolls for MTA bridges and tunnels also went into effect. In Brooklyn, Roger Clark, New York One.
So what's your reaction to these latest fare and toll increases? Will they change the way you commute? Or the rising cost of living in New York City making you consider a move out of town? Call 866-NY1-TALK to join the conversation. That's 6918255. You can also email the call at ny1.com, tweet us at NY1TheCall, or post your comments on our Facebook page wall with your first name and neighborhood. We'll have your thoughts on our Snap poll in a few minutes. It is time now for the first word. Joining us by phone tonight to talk about the impact of rising MetroCard prices on businesses is Carlos Casura, President and CEO of the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. What sort of effect do these toll and fare increases have on businesses? Sir, you have the first word.
Hey, John, how are you?
I'm well tonight.
So, I mean, look, you know, it's first of all, I think we all agree that these fare increases are ludicrous and ridiculous. You know, unfortunately, people that have to commute to work on the subway or the buses, or that have to drive to work, will go to work because it's their livelihood. Our concern at the Chamber is that the people that on a Friday night, on a Saturday night from Staten Island may want to come to Bay Ridge or Park Slope for dinner are going to say, forget about it. Why am I going to spend $15 on the Verrazano Bridge to come to dinner in Brooklyn? So they won't come here. People that are going to maybe a show at the Barclays, or going to something downtown, or going to one of the culturals downtown in Park Slope or somewhere, are going to say, crazy, we're not going to take an extra ride or get in a car or take a bus or something. It's going to hurt small businesses across all 5 boroughs in a really, really hard way. And what we're hearing is more and more people are saying, we cannot afford to live in New York. We cannot afford to shop in New York anymore. It's ridiculous. How are parents now that have to take their kids on the train in the morning? Parents are going to have to pay extra. It's just unfair. It's unfair. We keep hurting riders. We keep really increasing the cost of living in New York City on the backs of the middle class, and it's got to stop. It's got to stop.
What about the cost passed on to the consumer? Are small business owners telling you that this is going to just add to their burden, perhaps? If they've got a small business, they might be having to shell out more for their cost of their delivery trucks, for example.
Look,
and will that get passed on to the consumer?
Of course it will. Look, how many restaurants, for example, across the 5 boroughs, go up to the Bronx, right, to Hunter's Point Market and buy fresh produce? You don't think it's going to cost them almost double now every week to go pick them up? Someone's going to pay for increased vegetables, lettuce, etc. What's going to happen? Going to the fish market to pick up your fish if you own a restaurant, it's going to become more expensive. There are people that live in parts of New York City, particularly Staten Island, Queens, and Brooklyn, that don't have subways. So now they're spending extra money on getting places. And like it or not, there are people that have to drive to work. There are people whose livelihood is cars. And what happens to them? They're going to pay more money for tolls, and the consumer is going to get additional fees placed on their goods. It's not fair to anyone. It's going to really hurt small businesses. And the last thing we want is neighborhoods, particularly in southern and central Brooklyn, where the local businesses are the driving force of the economy, to say we can't open up anymore because our customers won't come here.
What is the trend?
It's too expensive to get here.
What is the trend in Brooklyn these days? Are you seeing more stores opening or closing?
Well, look, I mean, Brooklyn is a hot place, so the excitement around Brooklyn is great, but we don't know. I mean, if you take a great neighborhood like Bay Ridge, some of the hottest restaurants in New York City are in Bay Ridge. A lot of their customers come from Staten Island and New Jersey. What happens when these people say, you know what, $15 to go get a great meal in Bay Ridge, we just can't afford it? As those people stop coming, or as people that maybe would have come from, Queens or the Bronx or gotten on a subway, and this goes for all over Brooklyn, what happens then? We're concerned. So we're going to be putting out a survey in a couple of weeks once the fair is settled in, to hear from our membership and hear what they're saying.
We'll hear from the answers from you, Carlos Casura from the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much for calling up and having the
Thanks,
first word tonight.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. If you would like to have the first word one night, email the call at ny1.com. Put first word in the subject line. Tell us what topics you'd like to talk about, and we'll try to arrange an interview with you. Time for a break. What's your reaction to the latest MTA fare and toll hike? Marie in Bay Ridge emailed earlier, another day, another dollar for the MTA. There is no choice. We have no voice. All we do is pay. Do you agree with Marie? Do you feel you're at the mercy of the MTA when it comes to your commute? And how are these increases affecting the way you get around town? Your calls, emails, tweets, and our first snap poll, all next on The Call.
Well, I wish it didn't have to happen, but, it seems right. I don't know. It seems like the system needs money. No, it's still the best deal.
Yeah, I do. I don't drive, so it's good for me. I don't work anymore, so it really doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter. But I have a card. I buy a card. I buy the weekly card. $30 unlimited.
If you've got something to say, share your opinion on The Call. 1-866-NY1-TALK. Email thecall@ny1.com. Or tweet us at NY1 The Call.
said getting there is half the fun? Never experience rush hour in New York City. But for the rest of us, there's the Rail and Road Report on New York One. We can't make it fun, but we can make it easier with up-to-the-minute transit and traffic information. The Rail and Road Report, morning and evening rush hours at 8 and 38 past the hour, only on New York One.
Hurricane Sandy has come and gone, but the effects are not forgotten. New York One for You is focusing on the aftermath of this devastating superstorm. From dealing with contractors, landlords, and insurance companies to applying for loans, disaster relief, and more, New York One is here for you. Call our 24-hour helpline at 212-379-3599 or email us at ny1foryou@ny1.com and catch our reports all week long on New York One.
New York One is on in here. At Giacomo's Trattoria, you get a slice of news and a slice of pizza.
I don't like the extra 25 cents in the fare because there's so many people taking the train already, and I think like the extra 25 cents would be like, it's a waste, I guess. Some improvements I would like to see would be like sanitation-wise, like the platform would be like a lot cleaner and all that. Service would be a lot faster, you know. Maybe they could use that extra 25 cents that they're getting from us to like fix traffic lights in the station so that trains would be moving faster and all that.
Welcome back to The Call. I'm John Schumo. The unlimited went up, the base fare went up, the bridges went up, the tunnels went up. When was the last time any of your bills went down? New Yorkers heading to work today did so after the MTA rolled out its latest round of increases over the weekend. What's your reaction to them? Will the new prices change the way you commute or rise in costs, making you consider a move out of New York City? Call us toll-free at 866-NY1-TALK. That's 691-8255. Email thecall@ny1.com. Tweet us at NY1TheCall. Or post your comments on our Facebook page. Well, all we ask for is your first name and neighborhood. Here's our first snap poll. Get your remote control ready. Don't answer till I give you the go-ahead. The question is, what's your reaction to the MTA's $1 surcharge for purchasing a new Metro card? A, if it's reasonable, and B, if it's ridiculous. You can start voting now. We'll have your results later on in the program. Joining me now on the phone is John Raskin, the executive director of the group Riders Alliance. John, what can riders do besides sit on the train and take it?
Right, that's the important question, right? Because it's so frustrating that, you know, you're there, you're paying more, and actually it's not just a feeling, you're actually getting less. So here's what I'd say. Look, you know, we're a membership organization of bus and subway riders fighting for better service at affordable fares. You know, our whole organization is the answer to what can riders do. And our argument is get involved politically. Because these are decisions that aren't just made, you know, in the MTA office building in Midtown. It comes down to decisions that are made by our elected officials, primarily in Albany. Because the MTA isn't getting the money it needs to run the trains and buses that it needs to run at fares that everyone can afford.
Yeah, city officials typically point fingers at Albany. It's an MTA. The MTA is a state-run agency. But others say the city should be contributing more than it already does. What do you say, John? Should the city kick in more, or is this really just the state's responsibility?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, you know, our transit system, the bus and subway system that we use, underpins our entire regional economy. You know, it's a $1.4 trillion economy in the New York City area. It's important to the city, it's important to the state, and it's important to the entire country as we try to have, you know, countrywide economic recovery, which means that all those levels of government should be contributing. Now, the state is where people go first because the state runs the MTA, like you said, and traditionally the state has given the most support. That's important, and the state isn't doing what it needs to do. But I think you're right. You know, all these levels of government are benefiting from the outcome of running a good transit system, and they all need to be pitching in to make it work.
What do you want to hear from the mayoral candidates about mass transit for New Yorkers, John?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What do you want to hear from the mayoral candidates this election year about mass transit. What do you want to hear from them?
So real solutions and leadership. You know, a lot of what you saw is that the city, what it can do is put in money in the city budget. That's the first thing that mayoral candidates need to be talking about when they talk about transit. But beyond that, right, so that's vital, and we need to get there. But beyond that, you know, the mayor is an important leadership role. And when we talk about pushing for state funding and state laws, you know, the mayor needs to take the lead on that, you know, in addition to the governor and some other folks, because the mayor is the primary advocate for the people of New York City.
John Raskin from the Riders Alliance. John, thanks for sharing your thoughts with us tonight. Let's go to Monique in Wakefield with her thoughts on the fare increase. Monique, did you ride the subway or the bus today?
Yes, I did, John. How are you doing?
Well, thank you. So, did you swipe a little more aggressively and angry this morning?
Good thing I had a card and I could refill it.
Okay.
Because on the news they were suggesting to people that they look on the floors and pick up the card so they wouldn't have to pay the extra $1. What I'm thinking is, you know what makes it so bad, John, is because this weekend, 16 trains, the 1, 2, 3, 4, every train but the A train was rerouted. It wasn't running. And where I live at, you can't even get past 149th Street and 3rd Avenue without having to take an alternate bus to go here, to go there. So what makes it so bad is they went up, but the service is going down. And it's bad enough that I can't even get on the train, John. It's like somebody's always asking you to swipe them on. When I'm going to church, when I'm going to school, when I'm coming in from work. And so now I see crime increasing. They're going to put more cops in there, not on the street.
You're talking about people waiting by the turnstiles, asking to be
harassing, and it's always majority men, and you feel like if you don't do it, and they used to stand behind the gate, now they're right up to the turnstile. Could you swipe me in? And I'm going into my purse, and I said, you know what, I got to stop doing this before I get robbed. So I started today. I put my Metro card in my glove, and that's how I did it, because I get right up to the turnstile, and I go in my purse and pull it out, which is not wise in New York.
Monique in Wakefield sharing her stories from this morning. Monique, thank you. Franklin is in Bergen Beach and joins the call. Franklin, what's your reaction to these increases?
Well, my reaction is normal. The thing is that if the MTA want to keep raising the hikes on fares, I think they should give something back in return, which is 24-hour, transfer from train to buses and from buses to train. Other than that, I'm all right about the
So one swipe, instead of it being, 2-3 hour, you got to transfer, I think it's 2 or 3 hours. You're saying that should be a 24-hour window. Where you swipe once and you have a free transfer anywhere in the system over a 24-hour period.
Exactly. They used to do that in the 87, 89. And another thing about the little surcharge for the extra plastic car, I think it's reasonable because it's less plastic waste from the MTA behalf.
And you can refill the existing card, or you can just turn in an expired card, or if your car gets damaged for some reason.
Exactly.
So
it makes very good common sense for those people that just throw the cards away on the floor like nothing. Now they should be mindful that they should just keep that card in their pocket and keep refueling it all the time.
Yeah, and they don't expire. The card itself expires, but I think it's like a year and a half or something like that before it actually expires. So you have some time. All right, Franklin and Bergen Beach. Franklin, thanks. A lot of calls, emails, tweets to get to, but I got to take a break. More of your thoughts and the results of our first snap poll when the call continues.
I guess it has to go up for times on that, but the other thing I don't like is the unlimited with a $1 charge. But as long as if the train service goes well, I mean, it's 24 hours. Most places don't have cities have a 24-hour service, so which is nice, especially if you work late, which is always nice. And they run pretty consistent. The East Side line is pretty good. I take the 6 train. And I take this over. I know they've got new trains on that, so if it's all going towards that, then I think it is good for the future.
Every New Yorker has an opinion. We want to know yours. Call 1-866-NY1-TALK. Email thecall@ny1.com or tweet us at NY1TheCall.
Closed captioning is sponsored by 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Goodbye junk, hello relief.
ever said getting there is half the fun? Never experience rush hour in New York City. But for the rest of us, there's the Rail and Road Report on New York One. We can't make it fun, but we can make it easier with up-to-the-minute transit and traffic information. The Rail and Road Report, morning and evening rush hours at 8 and 38 past the hour, only on New York One.
Hurricane Sandy has come and gone, but the effects are not forgotten. New York One for You is focusing on the aftermath of this devastating superstorm. From dealing with contractors, landlords, and insurance companies to applying for loans, disaster relief, and more, New York One is here for you. Call our 24-hour helpline at 212-379-3599 or email us at ny1foryou@ny1.com and catch our reports all week long on New York One.
New York One is on in here. At Giacomo's Trattoria, you get a slice of news and a slice of pizza.
Everything is going up here, rent is going up, everything is going up, and we're not getting an increase on our jobs, but yet everything seems to be going up. As far as the fare hike, they need to do some really major work on the subways and the platforms, the subways, the the garbage. There's no garbage cans in some subways for you to throw your coffee cups or anything out there like that. Some subway stations really stink, and there's a lot of homeless people that sleep downstairs. They stay in the benches and sleep on the platform, and that's also scary for us women when we go out at night.
Welcome back. I'm John Schumo. As if Mondays weren't bad enough, commuters on their way to work today had to shell out $8 more for a monthly Metro card, $1 more to use MTA bridges and tunnels if they pay in cash. What's your reaction to these increases? 866-NY1-TALK. Email the call at ny1.com. Tweet us at NY1TheCall or post your thoughts on our Facebook page wall. Yvette is in Harlem and joins the call. Yvette, do you welcome the $1 charge to buy a new Metro card?
No, and in fact, I wonder where might the revenue go if they charge for the Staten Island Ferry, because prior to, I know they were very devastated on Staten Island with Hurricane Sandy, but prior to that, they always seem to be the privileged borough. Why is it that they don't have to pay anything? At one point, it used to be 50 cents.
I can tell you why, Yvette. First of all, it's the DOT that runs the ferry and not the MTA. So right there, even if they charged $5, it wouldn't help with your subway. It's different, one city, one state. And as a former Staten Island reporter, I remember when they took that fare away, and it was so inexpensive that they had decided that it was too costly just to have people staffing the ferry terminal to collect the quarter and then the 50 cents. So that's why they did away with it.
Well, I'm sure that money could go somewhere. They always redirect money that's supposed to be for one thing to another, so not from the state to the city. But there's no reason in this day and age to have people commuting as many that to do and not pay something to come from Staten Island. That just seems very privileged to me in this day and age when everyone else is experiencing increases. Even if it's a discounted 75 cents or something, but it's totally free to live in one of the greatest cities. I just don't understand that. I'm sure the DOT is hitting people's pockets, and they'll be next.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, Yvette, but also, I mean, maybe you don't know the lay of the land. To get to the Staten Island Ferry Terminal, you either have to drive and park and pay, or you have to take the Staten Island Rapid Transit, and that's a fare. So it's almost like it's a free transfer point more than it is just a free commute. If you live in St. George, it's great.
People come from Long Island Railroad every day, and then they pay to ride the trains. People come from New Jersey, and then they pay to ride the trains. So, I don't really see why there shouldn't be some fee. I can't say what the fee is, maybe not the $250, but it should not be free. It should not be free. It's just very unbalanced, and it's just a lifelong privilege. I mean, what makes Staten Island so special?
The $15 bridge toll is going to have some folks calling in tonight. I guarantee you, event in Harlem. $15 to cross the VZ. I don't know if any Staten Islanders feel any special, but thanks for that. Tyrone is in Chelsea. Tyrone, how are you this evening?
Yeah, how you doing, sir?
I'm okay, thanks. So, how are you taking the latest round of fare increases?
Well, you know what thing, John? One thing I got to say, right, is that number one, okay, if they're going to go up with the fare, if the economy going to do that, we should automatically get a raise on our job too. If they're going to go up a quarter, let our job get a raise for a quarter. Now, another thing too, on the Lower East Side, it look like a war zone, and then you go up to the Upper East Side, in the turnstile, it look clean as a whistle. You know what I'm saying? And now they want to raise the fare. But yeah, what about the rats and stuff riding with us and stuff like that? We getting bitten and all that stuff. What about that? They ain't saying nothing about that, but they want to raise a quarter fare and everything. And we got these rodents riding with us and everything, and we got to watch that, jump over rats and stuff like that. And they want us to keep paying fares? That's not right, John.
Tyrone in Chelsea. Tyrone, thanks. Shante tweeted, NY1 The Call, $1 is totally ridiculous for that unreliable, having to constantly swipe flimsy piece of a card. Shante unhappy with the fact that you now have to pay to buy a new Metro card. And Ivana just tweeted, the fare hike ought to inspire more carpooling. This is the time to get creative and organized, or maybe just take the bus. Ivana on Twitter. Ivana, thanks. Quick break. When we come back, we'll take a look at your top stories from NY1.com. As we go to break, here are the results of that first Snap poll. We asked what your reaction is to the $1 surcharge for purchasing a new card. 23% of you said it's reasonable. 77% of you said it's ridiculous. Thanks to our Time Warner Cable customers, another Snap poll in our second half hour. Stay with us.
If you've got something to say, share your opinion on it.